Hello ladies and gents, Jack here, and today we're going to be taking a look at some of the most iconic and fan favourite multiplayer maps in first person shooters. For a lot of us growing up as gamers online, multiplayer is where we spent most of our time over the years, and there have been some really incredible and memorable multiplayer levels spanning across a variety of games. And who would I be, what worth would I have if I didn't kick things off today with CounterStrike, and you guessed it, Dust 2. Dust 2 first featured in the original Counter-Strike, seeing action in the March 2001 1.1 patch. That tells you how long this map has been played, and still even today people enjoy it. Since then it was one of the most played maps and was remade in CS Condition Zero, CS Source, and of course Counter-Strike Global Offensive. It's incredible to think that 15 years later it's still being played, and while I imagine some people are pretty sick of it by now, it's a competitive map and it's still played in big tournaments and in casual games online. Arguably it's the best map on CSGO for deathmatch as well. The configuration of this map is perfect for the asymmetrical gameplay of Counter-Strike. You've got 2 bomb sites, 3 lanes, 1 left, 1 middle, 1 right. It just flows perfectly, and I wonder if one day we'll see Dust 3, but for now we'll carry on playing on this iconic map. Okay, so now how about we move on to probably the 2 most recognisable multiplayer maps from 2 of the most well-known arena shooters. Firstly, Facing Worlds from Unreal Tournament. Even if you don't know it by name, you will undoubtedly recognise this capture the flag map. Set on an orbiting asteroid in space with 2 walkways to get the flag back to your base, it really separated the excellent players from the ones that were just kind of good, because it was all about movement and aim and there was nowhere to hide here. I remember loading this up on my PC and just putting a load of bots on and sniping their heads off for days. It was just so much fun back then. Facing Worlds was first seen in the original Unreal Tournament way back in 1999, but since then, just like Dust 2, it's been remade in future versions of the game, and it's even now been reproduced in the brand new Unreal Tournament that's currently in alpha. The other map I'm talking about is of course from Quake 3, and it's known as the Longest Yard. Much like Facing Worlds, what sets this apart from other arena maps is there is just nowhere to hide. It's 4 to 6 players where it's all about movement and aim and railguns and rocket shots, and there's zero cover. Its simplicity is just what makes it so good. While it may not work as well in a game now, although it has been added into Quake Live, back then for this game it was a fantastic map. Unsurprisingly, when you look at the similarities between this map and the Unreal Tournament's Facing Worlds, Quake 3 Arena was also released in 1999. Similar maps from a similar time period, they really don't make them like that anymore. Alright then, so I think it's now time for a Battlefield map, and one of my personal favourites, and I believe one of the best Battlefield maps, is Strike at Karkand. Now some people may say other maps, and of course this is subjective and based on your experiences. Perhaps Wake Island may come up in conversation because it's been remade so many times in so many different versions, but to me, Strike at Karkand just has everything a great Battlefield map needs. It was originally a Battlefield 2 map, and that game released way back in 2005, but it just had a great combination of vehicle and infantry play. An inner city part where infantry combat was fantastic, and then more open areas and flags across the water where armour could be more effective. It was also absolutely huge, and Battlefield 2 maps all were generally pretty big. And while it was remade in BF3 and was still a pretty fun map to play on, it wasn't quite as big as the original. And talking of BF3, what about Grand Bazaar? It may not be everyone's choice, but for me it was just such a great infantry map. I played it a lot in public and in competitive games, and it's just one of the BF3 maps that I remember more than any others. Now I am sure more people would also say Damavand Peak for its iconic base jump moment, or Operation Metro because that was also pretty iconic, but maybe not for the same reasons. What's crazy is that if you compare Grand Bazaar to any BF2 map, it isn't really a classic Battlefield map. It's not huge like they used to be, and while there are vehicles on Conquest Large, it's not your large scale combat you'd see on say Strike at Karkand that we talked about earlier. Perhaps it was Battlefield's way of adjusting to the modern times, and Grand Bazaar of course was remade in BF Hardline, but I always wish we could have seen a remake in BF4. Ruble Drops on the B alley is something that I'll never forget. And sticking with Battlefield, it wouldn't be right if we didn't mention Arica Harbour. Bad Company 2 is a fan favourite for a lot of people, and Arica Harbour showed off the qualities of a Bad Company 2 map perfectly. Starting a game with a built up town area looking pretty normal, but finishing the round with every building in sight completely levelled and destroyed. It really changed the game completely, and on Rush especially, Arica Harbour was just a fantastic map. Of course, we also have to mention COD 4. I played a lot of COD 4 when it came out, and for all of the flaws of recent COD games, the first Modern Warfare game was a brilliant one and was extremely addictive. My personal favourite map, and one that I will always remember playing more than others, was Crash, a small but very well balanced map that you had close range engagements around the fallen chopper and buildings, whilst you'd still have longer range engagements down the long alley. Some may say maps like Rust, Shipment, or even Nuketown from the COD series, the small crazy maps perhaps are the most iconic to newer COD players, but not to me. And last but not least, we've got a legendary Halo map from the original game, Blood Gulch, a symmetrical canyon with a base at either end supporting up to 16 players and vehicles. It made for some epic gameplay moments and brought large scale freeform infantry and vehicle combat to consoles. It's also been seen in many Halo games since. It was remade as Coagulation for Halo 2, and it inspired Valhalla in Halo 3 and was remade in Halo Wars and made a return in Halo Reach. That should tell you just how popular and how much of a fan favourite this map was to Halo fans. And that's all for today, folks. If you could add one other map to this list, what would it be? Let me know down in the comments below. For me, the only one that I've left out really is Facility from GoldenEye on the Nintendo 64. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, do give me a thumbs up, that would be amazing. If you didn't, a thumbs down. And just a final reminder, the Jack Frags Armory t-shirt will only be available for a few more hours today. It's limited edition, so when it's gone for good. And you can pick one up at bit.ly/jackfragst. Once again guys, cheers for sticking around, and I'll see you in the next one.